Good evening and welcome to Ignite News on 6 at 6. It's Tuesday, June 17th, 2025. I'm Rihanna Nikram. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. President Ali vows to make sugar great again with renewed focus on revitalizing the industry. Financial analyst Joel Bagwandin says Guyana's oil sector stays profitable, even if prices drop below US $50 per barrel. Ministry of Education launches landmark TVET fair to empower Guyana's next generation of builders and innovators. And experts call for more positive male role models to guide boys through the challenges of growing up. President Dr. Irfan Ali has reaffirmed his government's commitment to revitalizing the sugar industry, declaring that the People's Progressive Party Civic Administration will make sugar great again. He made the statement yesterday at the Enmore Martyrs' Day commemoration ceremony. President Ali said the sacrifices of the Enmore Martyrs represented not just a fight against poor working conditions, but a broader struggle for economic justice, at a time when sugar was the backbone of Guyana's economy. He noted that sugar was once the country's largest employer and top export, sustaining rural livelihoods and entire communities.
And though the times have changed, the importance of sugar has not. The role in sustaining livelihoods, communities, and entire regions remains vital even today. Therefore, let no one dare tell you that sugar is a relic, that it is dead, that it is a burden, because they would not only be wrong, they would be dangerously mistaken. Sugar is still vital, especially to the rural economy. It directly and indirectly supports about 1/5 of our population. Each estate serves as a hub of economic and social life.
The president highlighted that the industry continues to provide employment for a wide range of professionals, from cane harvesters to engineers, and keeps money circulating in rural communities. He also credited Guyana for its historic role in community development and criticized the previous administration's handling of the sector, describing it as a graveyard of mismanagement.
We were not, and we are not, a government that throws up our hands and walk away from problems. What we inherited was broken. But today, it is being rebuilt under this People's Progressive Party Civic. And make no mistake, we will make sugar great again. Guyana has begun to fight its way back. As of recent, factory downtime is down by 22%. Cane yields have risen by 11%. Investments are being made in predictive maintenance, automation, and drone-assisted field monitoring.
President Ali said mechanization is now being introduced to address labor shortages and improve productivity, along with plans to expand value-added packaging for sugar exports. He also announced that discussions will soon be held with the Sugar Workers Union to explore how employees can be involved in ownership and benefit from modernization efforts. Even if global oil prices plunge below US $50 per barrel, Guyana's oil sector will remain in the black. That's according to financial analyst Joel Bagwandin, who says the country's ultra-low break-even cost offers strong insulation in volatile markets. Speaking to Ignite News, Bagwandin said while many global producers could face heavy losses if prices fall, Guyana is well-positioned to weather the storm.
Guyana will be one of the few countries that if prices go to $30 or $25, because of our low break-even cost, we will still be profitable. So in terms of long-term sustainability, the impact globally will be twofold. 50% of countries will become unprofitable and non-sustainable, which will create that space and sustainable demand for countries like ours to continue to supply that market, and which means because of our low break-even cost. our industry, our crude will still be profitable.
The analysts explained that if higher cost producers exit the market, demand will create new space, and that's where Guyana can continue to thrive.
If oil price is to fall, I will go lower than your $50. If it is to fall below $30, below 30 and stays between $25 to $30, more than 50% of global producers of oil will become unprofitable. More than 50% of global producers of crude oil, if oil price is to fall in the long run to that level, more than 50% will become unprofitable, therefore will no longer attract investment, therefore will go out of business. And that means you will still have a market to supply long into the future. Despite climate change and all of that and renewable energy, you will still have a market to supply if 50% of oil producers go out of business, if oil price collapse to $30 and $25.
Currently in the global market, there has been no drop in oil prices. In fact, the opposite has occurred due to escalating geopolitical tensions. Oil prices saw a sharp rise this week amid mounting unrest in the Middle East. Brent crude jumped to US $75.35, up nearly 3%, while the US West Texas Intermediate rose to US $23.20. The surge follows fears of disruption in the vital Strait of Hormuz, linked to the ongoing Israel-Iran conflict, according to Reuters and The Times. Though prices briefly dipped after news of a potential truce from Iran, crude remains nearly 70% higher over the past month, but still about 10% below last year's highs. Looking ahead, JP Morgan forecasts oil prices in 2025 to hover in the low to mid-60s. The bank warns that only a major supply shock would push prices to the $120 to $130 range. Guyana has expressed deep concern over Israel's recent airstrike on Iran, warning that the attack could further destabilize the Middle East and lead to potentially catastrophic consequences. Speaking at the United Nations Security Council meeting, Guyana's permanent representative to the UN, Her Excellency Caroline Rodrigues-Burkett, strongly condemned the Israeli strike, which reportedly targeted Iranian facilities and caused civilian casualties. The strike has since triggered retaliatory drone attacks by Iran.
Israel's latest attack on Iran contravenes the principles enshrined in the United Nations Charter. At a particularly volatile period in the region, the attack risks exacerbating existing tensions in the Middle East and escalating the ongoing crisis.
Ambassador Rodrigues-Burkett urged all parties to exercise maximum restraint and called for diplomacy, dialogue, and adherence to international law. She warned that unchecked escalation could lead to full-scale conflict, or worse, a nuclear crisis.
The world simply cannot afford any miscalculations. The consequences for civilians could be catastrophic. Guyana, therefore, urges both Israel and Iran to fully comply with their obligations under international law and relevant resolutions adopted by this Council. We further call on the two parties to uphold the principles of respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity, to adhere fully to international law and the United Nations Charter, and to settle their differences peacefully.
She also emphasized the need for accountability, stating that violations of international law must not be ignored. Reaffirming Guyana's commitment to peace and security, the ambassador called on the Security Council to adopt a unified response to prevent the situation from spiraling into a wider war.
The Council must take a united approach to these developments to confront the prospects of outright war in the region and the devastating consequences that would follow for the region and beyond. The maintenance of international peace and security requires us all to take decisive action, and now is the moment to redouble our collective efforts to prevent a wider conflagration.
The meeting also featured briefings from UN Under-Secretary General Rosemary DiCarlo and Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Mariano Grossi, who outlined the potential regional and global impacts of the ongoing military escalation. We'll be right back with more Ignite News after these messages.
The ExxonMobil Guyana Global Super League is back, and it's bigger than ever. Defending champions, Rangpur Riders return to defend their crown. But the Warriors, the proud hosts, are ready to battle on home soil. The best from Australia, New Zealand, and the UAE join the fight for global glory. The ultimate test, the ultimate prize. It's the clash of the T20 champions. Get your tickets now at Warriors Box Office or GSLT20.com.
This is Ignite News on 6 at 6. With an intensified push to empower Ghana's next generation of builders, innovators, and entrepreneurs, the Ministry of Education today opened its landmark Technical and Vocational Education and Training TVET Fair and Exposition at the Artichon Convention Center. Branded Empowering Youths, Elevating Skills, TVET is a capital for inclusion. The two-day showcase brings students, educators, industry partners, and regional training centers together under one roof.
Today we stand at the crossroads of transformation as Guyana experiences rapid growth in various sectors, from oil and gas to agriculture, construction, technology, and renewable energy. The importance of a skilled and adaptable workforce cannot be overstated. Technical and vocational education and training is no longer a secondary pathway, or it's no longer an alternative pathway, but rather it is a strategic pillar in shaping a prosperous, inclusive, and resilient Guyana.
The push is backed by the new National TVET Policy 2025 to 2035, which commits to placing state-of-the-art technical centers in every region and upgrading curricula to match labor market demand. Since 2019, the number of secondary schools offering Caribbean vocational qualification programs has jumped from 9 schools with 4 subjects to 74 schools offering 24 subjects. 9 of 10 regions now have fully equipped practical instruction centers.
When I came into office in 2019, we had 9 schools offering 4 CVQ subjects. CVQ is Caribbean Vocational Qualification, where you get a certificate for it. Today, because of conscious investment, planning, getting on the ground, putting the facilities in place, we have 74 schools, secondary schools, across Guyana offering 24 CVQ subjects. That, my friends, is what love looks like. That is what investment in education looks like.
Inside the Expo Hall, visitors can watch live demonstrations in welding, robotics, electrical installation, hospitality, and agro-processing. Try hands-on simulators and learn about scholarships and apprenticeship pathways linked to Guyana's fast-growing industries. Exhibitors include the Ghana Technical Training College, MACORP, GTI, GITC, and regional PICs, all showcasing how TVET skills translate directly to jobs. With Ghana's economy expanding rapidly, daily oil output now exceeds 600,000 barrels, and construction, ICT, and renewable energy projects are accelerating. The government says a skilled, certified workforce is critical to ensure locals compete for high-value jobs. The TVET Fair and Expo continues tomorrow until 4 p.m., and admission is free. The University of Ghana Berbice campus is preparing to host a historic academic event, its first ever interdisciplinary research conference, as part of its 25th anniversary celebrations. Speaking with Ignite News, conference lead and assistant director, University of Ghana Berbice campus, explained that the event aims to bring together thinkers and doers from across the country and around the world.
We have an inaugural interdisciplinary conference that is a part of our 25th anniversary celebrations. We have the conference under the theme, Embracing Innovations and Change Through Interdisciplinary Perspectives. We have designed the conference as a catalyst to strengthen the research culture at UGBC as well as across Guyana. And this conference reflects our commitment to community engagement and our readiness to undertake impact-driven research that can contribute to both regional development and global academic dialogue.
International experts from the US, UK, Canada, India, and the Caribbean will participate, alongside Guyanese scholars and policymakers.
We are bringing together from June 23rd to 26th scholars, practitioners, industry professionals, non-governmental organizations, community leaders, and other stakeholders to contribute expertise, share insights, and collaborate on solutions to address issues that require interdisciplinary understanding and innovations. Um, we have a diverse range of sub-themes, including public health crisis, climate smart and sustainable agricultural practices, rural community development, and partnerships.
The conference opens on Monday at 10 a.m. with a grand ceremony featuring Prime Minister Mark Phillips, UG Vice Chancellor Professor Paloma Mohamed Martin, and international guest professor Gary Dirks, among others. Exhibitions will be mounted daily on the campus tarmac, featuring government ministries, NGOs, and entrepreneurs sharing innovations and solutions to local challenges. Organizers hope the conference will set a new standard for academic collaboration in Guyana, while positioning the Berbice campus as a hub for regional research and innovation. Experts say there's an urgent need for more positive role models for boys as they navigate psychological, social, and cultural challenges. This message was central during a panel discussion hosted by the University of Guyana's Institute of Gender Studies, in collaboration with the Department of Language and Cultural Studies and the Faculty of Education and Humanities. The hybrid event, titled From Boyhood to Manhood, Unpacking, Rethinking, and Reimagining Masculinity, was held at the Education Lecture Theatre on UG's Turkine campus. Speaking virtually, Professor Lyndon F. Lewis emphasized the importance of guiding boys as they transition into adulthood, especially in the context of single-parent households across the Caribbean.
If that is the case, then what are we saying about the role of mothers in parenting? Alternatively, what are we saying about the absence of fathers, even though there are other male role models on which a young boy could call, namely his uncles, male teachers, pastors, scout leaders, and other influential men in society.
He added that adults have a responsibility to young men and boys to set better examples. Meanwhile, Principal Dr. Mark Light gave insights into study research which he conducted based on the achievements of boys and why they are seemingly left behind. According to him, if boys are left behind, then this has implications for men.
I grew up in a community where the attitude of men would include work, line, drink, sex, baby mamas, and that cycle can continue in our society. And that in itself presents a very dangerous perspective for our boys to mimic. No wonder these challenges exist. And so the environment and these environmental factors, they find a way to influence the behavior of our boys, our young men, who we expect to be grown men taking on responsibilities.
Dr. Light also highlighted that there's an absence of favorable masculine role models in the home, as in the case of single-parent households, noting that this presents many challenges. He said literature supports this fact, as in many homes there's no father figure present. Additionally, Professor Paloma Mohamed, in delivering remarks virtually, pointed to several initiatives aimed at looking into the state of men in society.
The question of what is going on with our boys and our men is something that has been, of course, troubling to us in the Caribbean in particular, even in the context of us thinking about what is happening with women and looking for gender equity and gender balance, both with men, women, and all the other letters in between. Something that I grew to learn watching my own children try to grapple with becoming men, and especially boys in puberty. It is something that I don't believe that many women are able to address on their own. I'm not saying they're not able to address it, because sometimes they have no choice. But in my own particular case, I remember reaching out to men inside the university who I thought were good men. And in fact, Lisa may not know of this, but I did ask them to start a boys to men mission. And persons like Calvin Bernard, persons like Reverend Holder and others were asked to step in, not only to deal with things that young boys need to know from other men, but also to deal with problem solving and modeling attitudes and behaviors that some young men might not be able to have access to on a daily basis, on a continuous basis.
Mohammed added that the question of how men operate and the kinds of support present in society to assist them are part of the national agenda. She pointed to initiatives such as President Dr. Irfan Ali's Men on a Mission project. Mohammed noted initiatives such as these and others are also aimed at identifying what is driving violence and other issues affecting men. Stay tuned for more Ignite News after these messages.
Fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Tune up. Fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Tune up. Protect your fuel system, boy. High mileage and performance, boy.
Guy Super 95 gasoline gives you more reasons to drive and is available at 56 service stations nationwide. For affordable price, high performance, and high mileage, choose Guy Super 95 gasoline.
Fuel it up and drive.
You're watching Ignite News on 6 at 6. A 17-year-old girl from St. Ignatius Village in Region 9 has died following a late-night motorcycle crash on the Kumu Trail in central Rupununi. Police say Kelly Raimondo was returning from a wedding in nearby Kumu Village sometime between 10 and 11:30 Saturday night when she lost control of a motorcycle while crossing a bridge. The bike, reportedly owned by a 25-year-old woman, was being driven at a high speed. Raimondo appears to have crashed into the western edge of the bridge and fell into the water below. She was discovered unresponsive by a passerby about an hour later and pronounced dead at the Lethem Regional Hospital. A post-mortem examination is pending. Investigations are ongoing. Wanted fugitive Elijah Batista Clark was arrested yesterday in Region 7 during a police investigation into an alleged violent attack. Clark had been on the run since July last year after escaping lawful custody at Vigilance Police Station. He was spotted and taken into custody while police investigated an attack on Venezuelan cook Mariana Sanchez at Sandhill Back Dam. According to reports, Clark, allegedly under the influence of alcohol, demanded $15,000 from Sanchez's male companion. When he refused, Clark assaulted him. Sanchez tried to intervene but was struck multiple times with a bottle, sustaining visible injuries. Though bystanders initially restrained Clark, he escaped but was later found carrying nearly 28 grams of suspected marijuana. Sanchez later identified Clark as her attacker. He remains in police custody at Bartica, facing charges including escape, wounding, and drug possession. Investigations continue. In sports, the Athletics Association of Guyana is promising fireworks, both on the track and in the field, as excitement builds for the 2025 Senior National Championships. The highly anticipated event will run from June 27 to 29th at the National Track and Field Center in Lenora. Association Executive Niall Stanton shared his enthusiasm, pointing to the meticulous planning led by Council Member Major Tyrone Smith.
The AAG is excited about our Seniors Championship. It's going to be one of our best events. We're expecting a large turnout for the 3 days. This event is going to be one of a different. This event is being coordinated by one of the council members, Major Tyrone Smith, and a lot of logistics are already being put in place.
The championships will showcase Guyana's top senior athletes, and fans can expect to witness thrilling races and field events, especially the highly anticipated men's 100-meter showdown.
I'm excited with the 100 meters to see Nolex Holder, Akim Strout, to see Emmanuel Archibald. We have Daniel Williams and all these other upcoming athletes who want, to stamp the dominancy in the 100-meter.
The association is inviting all track and field enthusiasts to be part of what promises to be a grand and memorable occasion. With surprises in store and fierce competition ahead, Guyana's Senior National Championships is shaping up to be a must-see event, with the entrance fee set at $500. A record-breaking fourth-wicket partnership between Captain Najmul Hussain Shanto and Mushfiqur Rahim has put Bangladesh firmly in control at 292 for 3 at stumps on day 1 of the first test against Sri Lanka in Galle. Shanto led from the front with an unbeaten 136, while Mushfiqur Rahim supported brilliantly with 105 not out. Their unbroken 247 run stand came after a shaky start, with Bangladesh losing 3 early wickets for just 44 runs. The match is part of Bangladesh's month-long tour of Sri Lanka, which runs through June and July 2025. The tour includes 2 tests, 3 one-day internationals, and 3 T20 internationals. The ongoing test series is also part of the 2025 to 2027 ACCC World Test Championship, adding extra weight to every result as teams aim for a spot in the final. Ignite News will be back after these messages. Welcome back to Ignite News on 6 at 6. Regionally, Antigua and Barbuda is defending its citizenship by investment program, or CBI, amid reports that the United States is considering visa restrictions for nationals of 36 countries, including 4 in the Caribbean. A leaked U.S. State Department memo obtained by the Washington Post and signed by Secretary of State Marco Rubio reportedly lists Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, St. Kitts and Nevis, and St. Lucia among the countries under review. The memo was circulated to U.S. diplomatic missions over the weekend. According to the Jamaica Observer, all 4 Caribbean nations have consistently defended their CBI programs as legitimate tools for economic growth. They say strong safeguards, such as strict due diligence, are in place. Under these programs, foreign nationals can acquire citizenship by making significant investments in national development projects. Speaking on Monday at the University of the West Indies' Five Islands campus, Antigua and Barbuda's Foreign Affairs Minister, E.P. Chet Green, pushed back strongly against the U.S. stance. They want to impose travel restrictions on us. For what reason, God only knows. We will not be bullied. Our foreign policy is one of principle, Green said. He insisted the CBI program brings substantial benefits to the country and is run with integrity. In international news, the White House has confirmed that U.S. President Donald Trump left the Group of 7 summit in Canada a day early due to rising tensions in the Middle East. Much was accomplished, but because of what's going on in the Middle East, President Trump will be leaving tonight after dinner with heads of state, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said on X. French President Emmanuel Macron has said that Trump offered a ceasefire between Israel and Iran, describing the move as a positive step toward peace talks. But speaking to reporters on Air Force One, Trump clarified that Macron got it wrong. He wants more than a ceasefire. Trump stressed that the goal is a complete end to the conflict and emphasized that Iran must never be allowed to have nuclear weapons.
We're looking at better than ceasefire. We're not looking for a ceasefire. I didn't say I was looking for a ceasefire. That was Emmanuel, nice guy, but he doesn't get it right too often. But we're not looking. We're looking for better than a ceasefire. Remember, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. We don't have to go too deep into it. They just can't have a nuclear weapon.
The G7 has struggled to find unity over conflicts in Ukraine and between Israel and Iran, as Trump overtly expressed support for Russian President Vladimir Putin and has imposed tariffs on many of the allies present. Trump did agree to a group statement calling for de-escalation of the Israel-Iran conflict. We urge that the resolution of the Iranian crisis leads to a broader de-escalation of hostilities in the Middle East, including a ceasefire in Gaza, the statement said. Israeli aircraft struck the headquarters of Iran's state broadcaster in Tehran, prompting nearby residents to evacuate. A live broadcast was briefly cut off after blast and power loss at the studio. Iranian media report at least one staff member was killed. The Israeli military said it targeted a key communications center of the Iranian regime, while Iran's foreign ministry condemned the strike as a war crime. Tehran residents fled in large numbers, with heavy traffic reported on highways. Earlier, Israel declared full air superiority over Tehran and said it destroyed a third of Iran's missile launchers. This follows overnight Iranian missile strikes on 4 areas in northern and central Israel, killing at least 8 civilians. Since Friday, Israeli airstrikes have killed at least 224 people and injured over 1,200 in Iran, while Iranian missile attacks have killed at least 24 and injured nearly 600 in Israel. And that's all for this edition of Ignite News on 6 at 6. For more stories, visit ignitenews.com or follow us on social media. Thanks for watching. I'm Rihanna Nikram. See you tomorrow for more Ignite News.